Hey guys, Austin here, and today I have a little bit of a different video for you. I thought I would take some time and walk you through how the buying process works. This is going to be a great video if you're planning on purchasing your first house, or maybe you haven't purchased one in a while, or maybe you've even purchased one in a different state and you're not really sure how things work in Washington state specifically. So I'm going to break it into a few different steps, and I'm going to walk you through what each of those steps are. Now, the very first thing that you're going to want to do when you're purchasing a home is get pre-approved. Now, if you're paying with cash, then all you're going to need for that is going to be proof of funds. That can be like a bank statement or a letter from your financial advisor stating that you have the funds to purchase whatever price point you're looking to buy. Now, for most people, they're going to end up getting a mortgage and a loan on the property that they're buying. And so the way you go about doing this is getting some quotes from different lenders to see what kind of a rate you're going to get and what type of financing you can qualify for and how much financing you can qualify for. And so the process for doing that is simple. If you're looking for a great lender, I'm happy to connect you with somebody that I've done a lot of transactions with. But what you'll do is you'll actually sit down with them, probably virtually and remote, and you'll fill out an application online. Now, the application online usually is like about 10 questions roughly, and it takes maybe 10 to 15 minutes to complete. It's not super hard at all. Once you have that initial application completed, the lender will do a review of it, and then they will request any additional documentation that they need from you. And after they've been able to go through that process, there's a few other steps in there that they'll have to do to fully do the loan. But after they have the opportunity to go through those few steps, they'll let you know about how much you're going to be able to qualify for. Now, just note, lenders a lot of times are going to qualify you for more than you might be comfortable with actually paying in terms of what your monthly mortgage would be. And so be cautious and take a look at what your monthly payments are going to be. Make sure it accounts for everything like homeowners associations, taxes, insurances, like all that kind of stuff. Make sure you have a good idea on exactly what your total out of pocket each month is going to be on the mortgage. Now, I always put this as the first step because I think figuring out your budget and your numbers makes a lot of sense. Now, once you have that done, your lender will be able to give you what's called a pre-approval letter, saying that it'll have the lender's name. It'll say, hey, this buyer is approved for this much, and I've done my homework to be able to give you this letter, basically. And then again, if you are paying with cash, you can just use proof of funds and have that ready to go. Now, after we do that, it's recommended to do what I call a buyer consultation, which is where we sit down, kind of talk about what it is that's important to you and what you're looking for in a home. What area do you want to be? How many bedrooms do you want? Is there a specific school district that you're hoping to stay in? What timeline are you working with? There are all these questions that I'll ask you, and we'll be able to put together a good buyer profile for you so that we have a really good understanding on where it is that you want to go, when you want to get there, and what our options are in order to accomplish all of this and make it super smooth. And so we'll be able to, when we're together, actually look at homes that are available on the market together. And we'll put a list together, we'll go through them and check them out together virtually first. So we'll look on the MLS, we'll go through the pictures. You'll say, hey, I love this one, hey, I don't like this one, here's why. And we'll be able to get a good understanding on exactly the type of home that you like, and it'll be a really great process. From there, when we go through that process, we'll usually have a list of homes that we went through together, and we found the ones that you actually liked. Well, now it's recommended that we do the next step, which is to actually go out there and tour homes, because you'll never know there are people that have purchased homes through just like a virtual tour before. I've actually sold several of my listings through people that had never even walked the home and they had actually purchased it. But that's pretty uncommon. For the most part, you're going to want to go out and actually see the home, walk around the community, confirm that they have the right shopping amenities that you need, the right access to freeways, it's close enough to your work, and whatever is important to you in your situation. So that's why I recommend we always go out there and actually tour the homes. It's also true that a lot of listing agents are good with Photoshop, and sometimes the pictures don't reflect what the house actually is. So we'll want to get out there, tour the homes, make sure that it's in good condition. Now, once we find a house that you love and you're ready to move forward with, then the next step we're gonna do is submitting an offer. Now, submitting an offer is really easy and simple. It's all done electronically, although we can do it on paper if that was something that was important to you. But you can just sign it from your email, which is really nice and easy. Contracts and offers are usually somewhere around 20 pages long, and they include the terms of the agreement of what you want to do in terms of the sale, how much you want to buy, are you getting financing, how much of a down payment are you doing, all of that kind of stuff will be built into the offer. So really easy and simple to do. Once we have that offer put together, we'll submit it to the listing agent and to the seller saying, hey, here's our offer, we hope you accept it. And then from there, it becomes kind of a negotiation. Maybe the seller might, if you came in with a lower priced offer, maybe the seller would counter you and ask you to pay for a little bit more. Then at that point, you would be able to decide whether or not you want to do that or keep on looking. And yeah, so that's going to be the next step, which is doing the offer and getting that offer accepted by the seller. Now, in most cases, most people that are purchasing, especially their first home, will do a home inspection. And that would be the next step if that was something that was important to you all. It's something that I recommend for all my clients. But a home inspection is when you hire a licensed professional to come and do a walkthrough of the home and just check really everything. They'll check the crawl space, the attic, they'll check the wiring, they'll check the plumbing, they'll just everything that we're not really looking at necessarily as we're walking through a home. They're going to do a full deep dive and point out anything of interest that you should take concern about or just at least know about. And what's cool about inspections is that this gives you an opportunity to back out of the contract if you're not interested in doing that. If for some reason you just kind of were freaked out about the house, like it wasn't in that great of condition, you could actually just back out and walk away. Or another example would be to ask the seller to maybe fix some of the items. That would be another option. Or you can even ask the seller to give you a credit or change the purchase price if you found a lot of work that needed to be done and you just wanted to ask for that. So there's lots of different ways we can go about it. And what's cool is when we're going through this process together, I'll be able to explain all of this stuff to you in detail. That way you're not kind of wondering what you should do and what the next best action is for you to complete the home sale. So that's going to be the next step, is doing an inspection. Now, after the home inspection, we're really close to being done. If you're getting financing, then your lender will require an appraiser to go out to the home and make sure that the price you're paying for that house is what the house is actually worth. If the appraiser goes out there and they say, hey, you're paying too much for this house, we don't approve of this, then we have to go back to the seller and try to get them to lower the price or potentially have you put a little cash in to essentially be able to make the purchase go through. But again, that doesn't happen every single time, and that's one of those situations that we can tackle if it comes up, basically. Now that we have the appraisal done, we're basically good to go and ready to close. Now, a few days before closing, sometimes even a week before closing, you'll be able to sign your closing papers. You can do this in person. You can have this done, they can send a courier to you and send somebody out to your house or your work to have you sign the closing papers. And I've even heard that they're now doing electronic closing signings as well, which is even better. And so, but whatever is important to you, we'll be able to find a great option that fits your needs. But you'll sign your closing papers, and really it's going to be a huge stack of papers. You're going to be kind of tired from signing so much, but it's going to just talk about everything that has to do with the house. So you'll have the contract that you're paying for the home, you'll have that there. You'll have what your proceeds are going to be on the house as far as, how much you're going to be paying for the house, and they line item every single thing out. So they'll say this is how much your down payment is, this is how much the purchase price is, this was the title fee that was paid at this. And so all of these little things get put into your closing papers, and that's what you'll be signing. And then once you sign, that's not when you get keys typically. When you get keys is when we close on the house and have recording numbers. So once they actually take all of your closing papers and file them with the county jurisdiction or the city jurisdiction, then at that point we will be closed, and we'll be ready to go basically. And so once we have closing numbers and everything's done and recorded, then you can get the keys to your home and move in, unless there was some other type of term in your agreement that said otherwise. But again, that's more of a rare situation and something we can tackle as we go on throughout the process. Now, before I end this video, I did want to talk about a couple other things for your consideration, and that are the costs for purchasing a home. So when you buy a house, there's a lot of different things that you end up paying for, and so I hope I can bring some clarity to what those things might be. So the first and most, I think the most well-known is going to be your down payment. Now, your down payment is just the sum of money that you put down on the house if you're getting a loan, and then the lender gives you the rest of the money to give to the seller, and then you pay installments on that loan amount to the lender basically. Okay, so that's going to be a fairly common thing. You've probably heard about that before, and it's probably not anything super new to you. Another thing that I wanted to share with you is going to be your closing costs. Now, if you're getting a loan in particular, you'll have higher closing costs. Closing costs can be about 2.5 to 3% of the purchase price, depending on the price point and a lot of different factors. And they're going to include things in your closing costs, which are going to be like your loan origination fee, prepaid taxes, prepaid utilities, HOA dues, insurance policies, like everything that goes into the buying of a house, that gets lumped into something called your closing costs. So you should know that closing costs are different from your down payment. You actually pay your closing costs in addition to your down payment. Now, if for some reason you didn't have enough cash to do your down payment and your closing costs, don't worry, because we do have strategies where we can actually ask the seller to pay for your closing costs and raise the purchase price of the home and essentially finance your closing costs. Now, that does weaken your offer a little bit, so that might not be as strong if we were competing against other buyers that were putting in bids on the same house, but it's something for us to remember and something to have in our back pocket. Now, the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about is your home inspection. And depending on the area that you're going to be in and the area that you're buying, the size of the house, again, a lot of varying factors. A home inspection is going to be $400 to $600, and that's going to be non-refundable due at the time of the inspection. Now, the next thing I wanted to share with you is your earnest money. And earnest money is very similar to a security deposit. So when we submit the offer to the seller, we'll have in our offer how much earnest money we're doing. Typically, a typical earnest money is about 1% of the purchase price. So if you're buying an $800,000 house, that would be $8,000. If you're buying a $400,000 house, that would be $4,000, just for some simple math. And that money is typically deposited within 2 business days of the seller accepting your offer. So when the seller accepts your offer, within 2 business days from there, then you will deposit earnest money into a neutral third party called escrow. And that is where your earnest money will sit until the day that you close. And on the day of closing, they will take your earnest money and apply that towards all of the cash that you needed to close on the property. So if you had your down payment and your closing costs, they will take your earnest money and apply that towards the amount that you have to bring to the table. So it's an earnest money check is not something that you have to do above and beyond your down payment and your closing costs. It gets credited towards your down payment and your closing costs. And I think that that's probably going to do it for this video. Again, I'd love, if you're thinking about buying or if you have a property to sell, feel free to reach out to me. But particularly if you're buying, I'd love to sit down with you and go over this in more detail. If you're out of state, we could potentially set something up over Zoom. And I'd be happy to walk you through this and actually put together a custom game plan for your situation specifically, because a lot of buyers have different situations and different places that they're coming from, and having a custom game plan can be something that's extremely valuable to have. I'll put my information in the description below. Feel free to reach out to me. And guys, if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing to my channel, it would mean so much to me. It really helps support me, and I'd be super grateful. And so I'm really excited to see you guys in the next videos, and I hope you check out some of the home tours while you're here on my channel, and I'll talk to you guys soon. You guys have a great day.